Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I'm Shafiu Suleiman. The Department of State Services, that is the DSS, the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, and the Nigeria Intelligence Agency, NIA, are the foremost intelligence agencies that were created in 1986, thereabout. The primary responsibility of these agencies was to collate and, of course, process intelligence, to serve their various mandates, areas, if you like. As for the DSS, it is expected to provide intelligence to homeland security, generate homeland intelligence, and, of course, protect, key installations and provide protect, dignitaries, that is foreign nationals in Nigeria, among several other mandates. And for the Department of, the Defense Intelligence Agency was to also generate, process, and of course, intelligence for the armed forces. And for the NIA, which is the Nigeria National Intelligence Agency, is also to generate intelligence, foreign-based intelligence to protect the country from perhaps external aggressions. Now, the importance of intelligence gathering, processing, and utilization is key to addressing security situation or challenges in any nation. Nigeria has been battling with spike in insecurity in recent times, and this has generated reactions, against our ability or otherwise to utilize intelligence to nip some of these threats in the bud. And on the platform this evening, if you like, we will be engaging some experts who together will be looking at the issue very closely. First, we have the former FCT Police Chief talking about Assistant Inspector General of Police Wilson Nalegu, retired. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure for me to be here.
We also have virtually Temitope Olodu join us, a preventive terrorism consultant. Thank you for joining us. He joins us from the United Kingdom. And then also to complete the picture, we have a lecturer of security studies at Bayes University, Abuja, who also joins us from Dutse, the Jigawa State capital. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. Though we also intended to have the spokesperson of the DSS talking about Peter Apunanya, but unfortunately he couldn't make it to the studio, but promised to be with us some other time. Before we commence the discussion, let's take a short break. We'll be back shortly.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Thank you very much for staying with us on Daily Politics. And today we're looking at Nigeria's intelligence community, so to speak, in the face of the rising or spike in security challenges in the country. Once again, thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Wilson Nalegu, former FCT Police Commissioner. We really appreciate your coming. Now, let's go straight into this conversation. Security of lives and property is the cardinal principle, objective of every government. And the intelligence agencies, have a very critical role to play in aiding, security agencies to deal with threats internally or externally. Now, over the years, Nigeria has been battling, from all fronts, so to speak, in respect of security issues. But there has been concerns with regards to our ability to utilize effectively these intelligence agencies in nipping these threats in the bud. Let me get your assessment first of what has, come over, what's the role, these agencies are playing in dealing with the security issues.
Well, the situation that we have at hand is very dire and very critical.
Yes.
Where you have incidents of kidnap, or abduction, banditry, attacks on prison, correctional centers, and the rest of it. And then you begin to ask, why is it so easy to breach all the security that is being provided? But that is not to say something is not being done. Okay. On the contrary, a lot is being done. But the one that escapes the sieve makes so much noise that it dwarfs whatever effort that has been made. You cannot, when you are dealing with the kind of situation we're dealing with, especially kidnapping and all that, I want to say that it's more than 70 or 80% intelligence work.
That's right.
Because it should be able to intercept. It should be able to disrupt before those threats manifest.
That's right.
And now people begin to ask, what is going on? But that is not to say something is not being done.
Okay.
And so we have a situation whereby, of course, we have the intelligence agencies that you have, mentioned. Though you didn't mention the police SIB.
That's right. Yeah, that's another.
Yeah, which deals on crime intelligence.
Intelligence. That's right.
Now, once you get this information and you process them through the intelligence circle and become actionable intelligence, you begin to say. But I tell you that what has been happening right from the northeast down to northwest, north central, and the other places, that without intelligence, the situation could have been worse.
Okay.
And you begin to ask yourself, how come it's possible to arrest even after ransom had been collected, or some are planning? How come?
Okay, but yes, looking at the issues you just raised now, Nigerians will begin to wonder, at what level are we getting? We're not getting it right, because yes, intelligence gathering is critical, analyzing it, processing it, and making it actionable, and then sharing it. These are processes that have to be, we have to go through. In most cases, you find out that either the intelligence agencies would preempt or intercept and then raise concern or raise alarm, and thereafter the same threats manifest. So Nigerians are wondering, how does it happen? Why is it allowed to manifest?
Once you have a situation developing, and you have intelligence or information regarding it, you've got to understand that there are occasions that you are able to infiltrate, to get behind the enemy line, and you're able to know what is happening, and you can be so accurate. But some of this information that come Not all of them. Some, because it's a developing thing. And these people are not stupid. Also, once they plan to have an attack, for example,
right.
yes, they have agreed. The leader could go and adopt a different strategy. And so, even though you've given the intelligence, for example, Kuje prison is going to be attacked, what direction are they going to come from? What day? Unless you're able to get those precise things. And that's the work that the security intelligence agencies do on a continual basis. And so sometimes they get it intercepted. And sometimes these people working on certain instinct or intuition even stop the distance. But I can tell you for a fact that there are many attacks that are intercepted. And you begin to recover those, you recover weapons and all that. So in this day of technology, it plays a critical role. Even on the social media, there's a lot
of intelligence you can gather.
A lot you can gather. Even from the telephone and all the conversations and the rest of it. A lot of these things, but they come in quantum. They come in large, size that in seeing them.
Yes.
So most of the time, you get it right.
Okay.
Sometimes it may not be as accurate as you want it to. If it was accurate, then there is no work to do. So, that is why when we are talking about the heart and mind, it's a battle.
That's right. Okay. Let me get Temitope to talk on this, the issue you just raised. Is a preventive terrorism consultant. Temitope, if you're there, what Mr. Nalego is actually telling us is that beyond what we see, or, is beyond what people thought, processing and, of course, utilizing intelligence is much more than something you do, or just like on a day. But then the concern among Nigerians is that the frequency of attacks, perhaps, or the deteriorating security situation in the country, with high-profile attacks on institutions, and of course very critical facilities like the correctional centers, and even troops, on a rescue mission or on operations, and generate a lot of, anxiety among Nigerians. Why is this happening, despite the existence of this security, intelligence agencies? What do you have to say?
I think I have to agree that some intelligence are gathered. Not all are gathered. In terms of best practice around the world, my personal view, I think that Nigerian intelligence is still lacking. Based on my experience and what I've seen and where I've worked, I think the Nigerian intelligence is doing catch-up, and it should not be so. I think their recruitment strategy is one of their challenges, because they're recruiting within, they're using an 18th, 17th century approach in recruitment process. Because when I was in school in those days, I remember that they used to come into our school and pick the best students, or they do word of mouth and pick some people. But now you don't even know when they are recruiting. That's the problem. When you go to their website, they say we're not recruiting now. They're only recruiting their family members. I'm not saying that to diminish the fact that they need to know who they are recruiting, but when you don't have enough intelligence to know who you are recruiting, for example, if my kids want to become an intelligence officer, there is enough resource for the government to know what they have. We know what happened to the last head of Nigerian intelligence. He was summarily dismissed by the president because money was found with him. Meanwhile, I work in the intelligence cycle where on a regular basis, they are checking my account, they're checking who I engage with, they have those information. But in Nigeria, gathering those information is very difficult because everything is not interrelated. That's part of the biggest challenge for Nigerian security services, and they've not helped, because I think it's important, and I know my two brothers will agree with me, that many of us that work within the security industry, we have two particular traits, which is very peculiar to security practitioners.
Okay.
Two is that we don't like sharing intelligence. It's just a natural thing. But the Americans and the British have come to find that if you don't share intelligence, you will lose out. So that was one of the reasons why we had the July 7 bombing in the UK, because intelligence was not shared, and they gathered. The report came out, it became public knowledge that intelligence was not shared, and then they created a group to ensure that intelligence gathering was moving smoothly. The same thing with the 9/11, they realized, but as we speak, and my big brother there, that was the commissioner in Abuja, will let you know quite well, the others, that most of the things that have happened in Nigeria, you can't actually point out and say, this is where to find the report of the Yahya bombing. This is where to find the Kuje incident report. Nigerians do not share intelligence. And when you don't share intelligence, it's difficult to be able to deal with lessons learned, or to be able to use lessons learned to improve intelligence. That is where our biggest challenge is. Nigerian intelligence are not flexible. As we speak, and most of the viewers could go and do their search, CIA has a Twitter page, they have a Facebook page. MI5 has a Twitter page, they have a Facebook. You don't need to be isolated from the world. You need to embrace the world. You need to know what is happening out there. But when you don't want to even share intelligence, you don't even want to relate with the people you want to gather intelligence from, how will you then be able to gather intelligence? That's the big brochure. That's the $1 million question.
But is it to say that they don't utilize such, outlets? Mr. Nalago actually was talking about the various areas where, intelligence agencies can intercept, possible intelligence that could help, address these problems. He talks about perhaps the social media. He talks about even the conversations, the telephone conversation and all of that. You talk about synergy, which is very critical. Now we have talking about the National Communication Commissions, commission which looks at the communication aspect of our day-to-day life. And then we also have various agencies along the line of providing this intelligence that we're talking about. But he, most importantly, also talked about the need to embrace technology. How much of technology do you see our intelligence agencies deploying, beyond you talked about being a cake in our approach to the issue?
I think it's important to highlight that I personally do not think that the Nigerian security services have difficulty using intelligence. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the structure itself is faulty, and that's the reason why, if you like, carry a man that has muscles and put him in the ring with Tyson, who has been out of the ring for many years, he will knock that man down. The technique, having the capacity, getting the good coach, having everything in place. The Nigerian intelligence are buying weapons, they're buying intelligence, but they're engaging with the Israelis, but they are not adopting it. Let me give you a classic example. I worked in what was called the Office for Security and Counterterrorism in the UK. I worked with the Met Police, I worked with Kent Police. So, and I see with those different police and security agencies, different approach to how intelligence is gathered and how they relate. I also worked in other enforcement agencies that were not in that kind of similar pool, and I know what they do with their command and control. What I'm saying is that in Nigeria, that it seems not to be working. If it's working, my brother has been on many channels, or my big brother has been on many channels talking about what could be done, how it could be done. I'm telling you today that most of the things that I talk about in the UK when I'm invited to speak, I get calls from the security agencies to talk to me, to engage with me instantly. Because as we speak, and I've been involved in that kind of situation, there are people that are watching as We listen to what we're doing and we say, okay, actually, what that our ex-commissioner of police said is quite important. Let's invite him. Let's speak to him. Let's gather more intelligence from him. Because he wants to even give that information as somebody that's worked in the industry that they could work with, and they know him, they know his intelligence, they know his capacity, they know that they were the one that trained him in that field. But they're not using it. Many people have been speaking, it's as if our intelligence services are deaf and dumb. I'm not saying they are, but it's as if they're not using any intelligence. If all the things that Nigerians have been saying since 2015 to date, you've not seen one of it being used publicly or being used, or we've seen any changes. When there was a bombing in the market, have you seen changes in the marketplace? Have you seen an adjustment in the way the market is adjusted? Go to the UK and see what they've done differently. When there was a bombing of the track in America, what happened? You see the changes. In Nigeria, you don't see changes. With the Kuje bombing, have you seen any changes in any of the Nigerian security, what do you call it, prison services, apart from putting physical security there?
Okay.
Every mobile phones there. So
Okay.
those are the kind of things I'm talking about. It's about using the intelligence that they are gathering. I don't think they are. That's my view.
Okay. Let's reach out to Tanko Ahmed, lecturer for security studies, who is joining us from Jigawa, Tanko, you've had some of the issues raised, especially by Temitope, talking about the lack of synergy among, intelligence agencies, the lack of, taking actions, necessary actions to respond, to some of these emergencies. What's your take on that?
Thank you very much. Most of the time, when I sit down to watch issues of security brought to public domain, for example, what we are discussing here on TV, I think to be fair to the people in the field, the administrator of security, and as well as the audience we are addressing, when we come to discuss issues like this, we should also touch on the basics, not only process. Experts here, experienced experts in terrorism and whatever are discussing about processes. The audience that do not even know the difference, even some of our own leaders, we can see our political leaders coming out to make statements, going against the system that is serving them, or the system they are controlling. I don't know. Basically, I will start by saying that in the way of teacher, I used to be a public servant. To talk on things like this, I'll go to the basics. Basically, security intelligence refers to any information that is relevant to protection of a threat or perceived threat. In addition to that, you also get security intelligence to use in running your policies, processes of what we are talking about here, and tools. So when you go, basically, everybody is involved in intelligence. You gather your own personal intelligence to decide on things, either to go to places, even if there is security threats. Supposing now I want to travel to Jos, I will collect my own personal intelligence to calculate the moment that these marauders, these bandits come out on the way. If they always come out around 7 o'clock in the evening, for goodness sake, I will travel in the afternoon. I'm using intelligence. You have intelligence even in your TV house there. Go and ask your security at the gate. They are watching people when they come in, when they go out. What we are talking about here on the TV, we are talking about security intelligence in terms of national security. We have seen the way it is. You are talking about Israel, you are talking about Americans, you are talking about Chinese and other things. No, the intelligence quality of any country will not be more than the collective public opinion, management of information, and patriotism among the citizens. Now, when you talk about the CIA being very, very active, within America, if something happens, you flash it on TV, people will give you information, but yeah, you will not get the information. In fact, you will have the public opinion dispersed all over. Majority of it majority of it attacking the government or attacking the service. And these service people will not even come out, and they cannot even come out and defend themselves. I can give you an example of the last issue, which the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, our own National Assembly, he came out there in public to say that they have received not less than 44 different kind of intelligence concerning Kuje. This intelligence, were they actionable intelligence? Were they intelligence shared out to key government officers to know what is going to happen? If they have received 44 or even one, what did the Deputy Speaker or the entire National Assembly did on this? If we are talking about patriotism, if you are, any one of us here now, if you are given charge of any of these agencies, some of us have this kind of experience. How do you get information? How do you serve people that are quarreling against each other, that do not perceive even the value of the job you are doing?
Yeah, Dr. Tanko.
Now, if you say that I should blame the
Dr. Tanko,
intelligence agencies for low quality, low quality absorption of information from the public. What about agencies like the National Orientation Agency?
Dr. Tanko,
had done its work.
yes.
Everybody is patriotic.
Yeah.
Bam, you put in one thing here, everybody will be in. Then you will have an intelligence service that can draw things in. Now,
Right. Dr. Tanko, Dr. Tanko,
go into the process.
Yeah, Dr.
If
Tanko.
this basic is accepted and is used, and we have a country that the public opinion is being managed by information managers, we have citizens that are patriotic, then from that moment we will begin to accuse or blame our field intelligence officers.
Yeah.
They go on training.
Yeah. Dr.
They
Tanko.
get paid. They buy equipment to them. There is a certain level of their. I'm not saying that everybody is perfect.
Yes.
After all, the quality of the intelligence officers would be not more than the quality of the public that you are going to recruit and put them in there.
Right,
So
Dr.
my
Tanko.
own contribution here is that whenever we are discussing issues like this, let's also talk about the basics.
Okay, Dr.
So
Tanko.
that we
Dr.
will
Tanko.
be fair to those in the field and also the audience.
Yeah, Dr. Tanko, yes, you talk about something very critical. That is, making intelligence gathering, if you like, I mean, a citizens base or citizen driven, everyone should be concerned about security, everyone should be concerned about intelligence gathering and sharing. But here we are talking about a huge, trust deficit between the public and the agencies concerned. In most cases, you find out that people volunteer such information, intelligence share with the agencies, but it's either it is not used, just like Temitope, has said earlier, or it even come out to haunt those who have provided the intelligence. In most cases, this is what is happening. This issue of informants, they are virtually everywhere. You share intelligence with the security agencies, and then it comes back haunting. These guys sometimes also, once they are freed, they come back to you and say, okay, we've got information that you are the one that provided this intelligence and what have you. So how do we manage this trust deficit, which is very fundamental? Oh, okay, I'll get you to talk about that. But let's hear Dr. Tanko.
Yeah, the best way to manage this is to manage public opinion, first of all. Manage the way we use our information, other things, or betrayal. You go and report to agency and they report it back. If we have good information management, you can catch people that are doing that. Even the CIA, the Mossad are not perfect agencies. Anyway, they are riding on the strength of patriotism, love of country, dedication, the will to survive, comfort, and good life of their citizens. If I will go over these things that I listed to you, it's a big homework. We like it. So when explaining this thing, audience, preferably let me give you example of how we explain how public opinions work within understanding intelligence gathering and usage. I prefer to use the method they use together to predict weather. You cannot be perfect weather.
That's right.
Like my brother Tomitope, they said there is nothing as unreliable as British weather. Today, if you describe what is going to happen tomorrow, I grew up in Britain, you cannot predict weather. As much as if you go to the intelligence system of Britain, they will tell you that you cannot predict what is going to happen tomorrow. But if you are riding on good citizens, people that are dedicated to protect themselves, not to destroy each other, not to destroy each other. We are at each other's neck. Now, maybe you work with the security agencies because somebody from your own area or your creed, your breed is there. You cooperate with them. Other people will go at their necks. This is a very, very difficult thing. So usually when we discuss about the process, yes, it's not perfect, but then what are the basics? The basics here, to me, the basics inform what do we know? What is the ordinary person knows about intelligence? What is the commitment? Why is it that intelligence is important? And what does even the operative knows about the importance of intelligence? That one is very important. That is basic. If you build these basics, you will build the process.
Okay.
Then
okay.
any other thing that happens, we will just go in there and nip the bud, as you are saying on your TV station.
Okay. It's about time we take a break. And I understand you want to respond to that, Mr. Nalegu. You do that when we return. In case you're just joining us, the program is Daily Politics, and it's reaching you live from Trust Television here in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Today we're looking at Nigeria's intelligence agencies and the spike in security challenges in the country. We'll take a short break. When we return, the conversation continues. I thank you very much for staying with us. Still Daily Politics, and we are looking at Nigeria's intelligence agencies and the rise in security concerns. And I've been interfacing with Wilson Nalegu, a former FCT Police Commissioner, and Tanko Ahmed, lecturer of security studies, joining us from Dutse in the Jigawa State capital, and Temitope Olodu, who is a preventive terrorism consultant, joining us from UK. Back in the studio, you wanted to, contribute to that. But then before you contribute to that, perspective of Dr. Mr. Temitope earlier talked about, intelligence hoarding, so to speak. Why are security agencies hoarding, this information, which is very crucial for their operations? Why should one agency want to outsmart the other or want to take shine, against the other when we have a collective goal, to provide security?
Well, unless you are seeking vainglory,
okay,
and then you want to shine at the expense of the security of life and property. You see, one of the things with you as a political leader, one of the things you must encourage is to ensure that your security intelligence agencies work in close cooperation and collaboration. But when they work in silos, the situation you get, the information intelligence this agency has, the other one doesn't have. So that is something that the government or the political leadership must encourage. For example, if I am a governor of a state, and I would say, I must ensure, the support I give you, I must ensure that the DSS, the police, the military, and all of them are working in close collaboration and not at cross purposes, because I will not encourage vainglory, those who seek that. So
is it a failure of coordination,
Yeah,
or is it the lack of platform? Because I know there are platforms where all of these agencies meet, appraise the security situation, and perhaps
all of them. If you're in the state, it goes to the governor, and then the head in Abuja and all that, all the case. So the governor sits there. He's supposed to understand, but again, you begin to question because you must have a process of sieving this intelligence or information that is brought to you. And because is it the police that should work on that? Is it the military? But the healthy interagency relationship is a critical element in managing the incidents of crime and security challenge. And the issue I wanted to respond to...
Yes, concerning the trust deficit, right?
Yeah, the trust deficit. You see, when Robert Peel, the father of modern policing, I think in 1829, because there was, people were present, how do we give all this power to an agency, or the police? And so the trust issue becomes very important. And you saw the NSAS had a lot of impact on trust. The George Floyd issue
case
in the United
US,
States,
that's right.
and there was almost a global movement to defund the police. And so all these things happen. But we've got to understand that, like Robert Peel, the father of modern policing, in 1829 stated that the police are the public, and the public are the police.
Here you say the police is your friend, but how much of a friend
but you see,
is the police?
The issue is about perception, really. Maybe I could say we should improve on perception management, because what they see may not be the actual. For example, somebody say, oh, if you tell the police, they will tell and they will come and kill me and all that. And you ask the person, when that happened? So the issues of the communicators have got to address issues of perception. And that is why on a regular basis, you need to carry out perception survey, so that if there are things that emanate from the survey, you are able to address them. And it is, you see, intelligence, like the prof rightly said, you want to go to JAWS, you've got
find a way of generating intelligence, personal intelligence, so to say.
Exactly. You see, even that policeman on the beat, when the policing started in this way, it's not as high-tech as it is. Officers you see with baton walking on the street, patrolling, making contact with the public. But now, they are in patrol cars.
So there's improvement.
So there is, but this improvement should have that relationship.
Shouldn't be taken away.
That was there from that beat police officer that aggressively patrols, that stops, make contact. How are you feeling today? Has anything happened around here? And he knows it in his pocket notebook. These are issues, these are the basic things that you need to have. And that is why when the Americans describe it as a heart and minds, because that is so important. I was reading in the Vanguard some time ago, I don't know the date, that during, in Birnin-Gwari, to be precise, the Ansaru group, a breakaway faction, the Boko Haram, were giving Salah gift to some of the villagers. And in one case, there was even attack by banditry. They assisted the villagers to attack, the bandits. All this will sway, even the opinion of this will say, I am better protected by these people. These people are better.
So confidence building.
So we shouldn't allow such initiative to be taken by a group
by the non-actors, non-state actors.
Non-state actors taking such initiative. So the initiative has got to be our own. We've got to build trust. We've got to build relationship. And that is happening. A lot of people have confidence in security forces to guarantee their safety, their security and safety. This happens. But it's a conscious thing. It should be an intentional thing. And we must understand it. That is the concept of community policing. It's about getting the various communities to begin to build trust.
Yeah.
And that is communities and police coming together to adopt common approach, identify problems, and then common approach to solving those problems.
Right.
That is very critical.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like the fish and the water.
That's right.
The police or the security agencies cannot exist without the public, without the respective communities. The fish cannot exist without
the water.
Without water.
That's
so
right.
the relationship must be
Symbiotic.
that everybody has a role to play, and that if you tell them they are going to because like those who came to attack, for example, Kuje, I mean they didn't drop from thin air.
Of course, and perhaps they must have planned this over time.
And
It is not something
they must have. I don't think they came from those barracks there to launch the attack. They must have passed to certain places.
To certain
so
communities.
the capacity also of security agencies to respond robustly to attacks.
Detection in the first place, the movement of such a crowd.
And then those movements, they couldn't have just come from thin air.
That's right.
So the public has a critical responsibility.
Right. Okay.
Like Prof has
mentioned. Okay.
mentioned.
Okay. Let me get Timmy Tokwe because we're actually rounding up gradually. Mr. Timmy Tokwe, you happen to you're conversant with the situation elsewhere in the so-called developed climes and how they respond to issues like this. You passionately talk about how the citizens exhibit a high sense of patriotism and support the security agencies. How do we get this happen, here where we are having trust deficit?
I think it's very easy. We have Nigerians, great people, great nation. We have all the skills. We have people that are even much, much better. It's just that we have this inferiority complex that if it's not white, it is not the best. We have a lot of Nigerians, 2,000 Nigerians that work with the security service. I had the opportunity of working. I worked the beat, and just like Prof was saying, I've seen the cold weather. I've seen weather turn from cold to snow suddenly within a few hours. So we're used to that. But I wanted to highlight something that the good doctor was talking about. And that is the fact that, I hold the DSS responsible for whatever is happening to them with the legislators and some of the political actors. Because some of them, we know their antecedents. Some of them, when the president passed their name over to the DSS and they tell us they are clear, we put our hands in our mouth to say, is it not the same person that we know has 3-4 properties, we know has a bank account in the UK, we know has this, and yet the DSS is clearing these people to say that they are clean like dove. So that's the problem. Why will Nigerians have confidence in the DSS that is clearing people that are not even meant to be anywhere near the political scene in the first place? Their names should have been blacklisted in the first instance, but yet the DSS are clearing them when we know that they have a lot of baggage. So that is number one. Number two, I think it's important to highlight that I had a privilege of working within the security services, and I know that we have what we call safeguarding meetings, where the public will say we have a meeting with the police and we'll stay. This is the problem. We're having burglars coming in at this time. This is what's happening in our community. And the police will tell you blank, our budget is X amount of money.
Here we also have the PRC, police community relations there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they will share intelligence, but that is not happening in Nigeria. Is it in Nigeria that they're only giving X amount of budget to the police, which we know is not even sufficient for them? The money they give, they padded it, and yet the money they will give the commissioner of police at the grassroots is not able for him to buy fuel for the whole month. And they give him money for a whole year. So we know what is happening.
So how do we get out of this?
How we could get out of it is for us to take control, or for there to be a change in the security, to be a change. There needs to be a change. They need to bring. I will more or less advocate for someone like the former commissioner of police, to even become the head of DSS in the state. Let's change the structure of making sure that there has to be somebody that have worked through the process. Why can't the prof become head of DSS? Why change it? Look at the UK, they are doing it. They are using civilians to work in this system because that's the only way you could get the system to move. What they are doing is you have to be part of class 95, class 92, yet you are not having any experience. We have a lot of Nigerians that work in Iraq, that work in Afghanistan, that have gone to war, that can actually come in as consultants to come and help. We have people like the prof that can come in and say, this is the research we've done. We think you should change the approach you are using. They will not use them because they believe in their class 95, class 92. If you don't belong to that class, you cannot give them advice. They don't accept your advice.
Okay.
And until they move away from that mindset, the Nigerian security services will not improve.
Right. Okay. Let me get to Tanko. Talking about the need to change our strategies to rejig our perhaps intelligence network, and of course, what is needed to be, to be changed. We can't continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. How do you think we can summon or muster this courage, to change the current narrative, where it's necessary to rejig or to change the entire structure, architecture, as it were?
Okay, I will still go back to my basic process stance. On the basics, I would like to see massive education, enlightenment on how to make people patriotic, how to love themselves, how to love their country, how to build it. When they do that, they will value it. When you touch it, they deal with you. So if you bring it, let me go back now to the process. If you now establish secret service agencies, military personnel, and other things, people who love themselves, who love their country, who love their security personnel. If you are a citizen that is bad, you are not patriotic, you tamper with the process of security, the system shall deal with you. If you are a security personnel that does not do his work properly, you go about exposing people that help you. Not all of them do that. If you do that, then the system also will get you fixed. So along the way, specifically, let me give advice on two approaches.
Very quickly, Doctor.
This general education of the public, particularly, I would like to see a situation whereby when you get new political leaders, you now do some induction for them. You call all these security agencies to brief them and to tell them that this is what we do. They do that even to the British Prime Minister. They do it to the royal family. They do it to every president that is coming in. He will know how important the FBI, the CIA are, and the kind of function.
And how they operate. Okay.
By doing that, you rope the political class or political leadership into the function of security.
Okay.
You will have it better if you have a good public that is supporting and good leaders that are doing this. And along the way, if you are able to do this in Nigeria, you will be able to solve a lot of problems.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Enalebu. Talking about what we need to do, to change this current trajectory.
I think the National Orientation Agency, I think has to do more. There must be mobilization of the entire populace, entire public.
About their role in security.
About their role, because they all have critical roles to play. And then the political leadership, like Prof rightly observed, maybe they need some orientation to understand the basics of intelligence and information and security.
How do we deal with the issue of compromise, where the agencies know XYZ is not fit for this, and then because of political exigencies you allow that to happen?
But I think we've got to take professionalism very seriously in the various agencies, because whatever you do, it is in your name and the name of your agency that you compromise. So I think unless we are able to hold people accountable. If you don't hold people accountable, this gets swept. It shouldn't take so long
That's right.
to exercise disciplinary control over people that are charged responsibility. Everybody should have a role to play. But one thing I want to state is this: the role of technology in the present age cannot be discountenanced.
Right.
And
Okay.
if we don't, we must incorporate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's also critical.
Yeah, thank you very much. I wish we could go on. I
I
understand you have a lot to say along that line, but then time is not on our side. Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson Onalegu, former Commissioner of Police in the FCT. Tanko Ahmed, a lecturer with, of Security Studies, joining us from Dutse in Jigawa. We also appreciate your perspectives, Doctor. And Temitope Olodu, a preventive terrorism consultant all the way from UK. We all appreciate your perspectives on the platform. We also hope that when next we invite you, you would also oblige to talk on nation building. Thank you very much. On behalf of the technical crew, this is where we come to the end of the program. Do join us same time where we'll be back with another interesting topic and personalities. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day.